Oh, look at that. We are just in time. Good morning. Tuesday morning, in fact. And it's time for the 709 Express. Yeah, I was a little bit late getting here today, but I'm glad we made it just in time for that. But anyway, good Tuesday morning. How are you all doing? This is episode 11 of our time here in Downers Grove, our first time back from an exciting trip to the Pacific Northwest. I missed being here for that whole week. I really did. I missed being here for that whole time. But now that that trip is behind us, I am glad to be back for some more of this excitement. Yeah, for some more of this excitement here. But now that I'm mentioning Pacific Northwest, I was thinking of something else that I didn't really get to mention when I was briefing about the trip. Oh, what the heck? Let's leave that alone. Anyway, yeah, I didn't go further into what happened during the trip. Yeah, what happened during the trip. Okay. Alright, the light's going red so we can cross. Alright, so these were the crosswalks that I saw a lot of during that Pacific Northwest trip. Most of them were actually motion activated. Yeah, that was the message that was given out. Either this was the message or something else. But what was not present was a voice like this.
Walk sign is on the block.
Yeah. To be exact, it was a...
Train is approaching. Clear tracks immediately.
Wow, it seems like those fountains are much higher up than they were last time. Yeah, here they are. Yeah, they're really high up now. Probably a power draw. All right, now what I was going to say was that Storm Tracker announced that he's going to be going up north to Minnesota as part of his summer trip this year. I told him about the Pacific Northwest trip that I was just on. But regarding it, there was something that I never specifically mentioned. And that was, in fact, during the initial flight after leaving at Midway Airport. From the flight's path, I was able to spot both Belmont and downtown Downers Grove from like 10,000 feet in the air and climbing. I was able to spot Downers Grove. I easily spotted it from the water tower and the zigzag of Main Street before downtown. It was pretty amazing I was able to spot it from that high up. And even on the flight back, I was able to spot a bunch of other roadways and towns and everything. Eventually leading up to the arrival at Midway Airport. And that flight, we had to get up at like 3 in the morning just so we can catch that flight home, because that was the only direct flight we had to return home from Seattle directly without making any other stops anywhere else. So thankfully we didn't stop at like Atlanta, or I don't know if that bus is going to get through in time before the crossing is set off. I highly doubt it, but we'll see. But yeah, I had a great time in the Pacific Northwest. I believe I mentioned too that I also caught an Amtrak Cascades and a Sounder train. Well, I got the Cascades on video, but not the Sounder though. As I mentioned before the trip, Sounder is similar to Metra, as they're a public transit service. The road construction. Well, the construction is actually that building. Yeah, it's actually that building just across. Yeah, that's what I was watching when we were... That was what I was watching on that first night. Just all those crosswalks going on and off. From walk sign to stop and everything. It was amazing. I enjoyed every moment.
Train is approaching. Clear tracks immediately.
Train number 1211 to Norway is now arriving. Please stand behind the yellow line.
And there it goes, continuing its outbound trip. Now, what was I going to say? I was about to say that I enjoyed every moment of that trip to the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, I saw a lot of pets like that throughout the trip when we were walking. Well, actually everywhere. There were pets on the trails that we were on. There were pets in downtown Seattle. There was a lot of stuff. And there's the Tivoli Theater showing this Fantastic Four that just dropped in theaters. Now, last time we went to the Washington Street crossing at the end, so I thought, why don't we go to the Washington Street crossing this time and see the inbound train come in? That would be nice, wouldn't it? Well, let's see, was that everything? Yeah, I think that was about everything I mentioned from the trip, so yeah. I mean, it's been a week since I've last been here. I've missed my time here, and in fact, actually, as I said last night, I believe I said that this could be the final week that we'll get to do it this year. I guess we can go up a little bit to the express, because that's the express that's waiting to move before any other expresses can come through. There's a yellow for the inbound. Yeah, here's a crossing that I don't think we did a full activation cycle on. There's no crosswalks attached to it, so we won't be able to get that message again, but that's all right. Because we're gonna do it, because we're doing 3 back-to-back-to-back episodes this week. They're the last ones of the season, and this is the first of the 3. So yeah, here's Washington Street. We've never gone this far before, so I thought, why don't we do it again? Yeah, that's the crossing right there. And off goes the express, continuing its trip to Chicago. So with this being the last few times this year that we'll get to be here, at this point, I gotta start making final plans as to what I'm gonna do with, in terms of hardware upgrades. I probably should move over for those people. But yeah, this be my final opportunity to consider hardware upgrades. In fact, I was thinking of another hardware upgrade. My HP laptop that I've had for a couple years, I was thinking of maybe sticking another 8 gigabytes of RAM into it. So I was thinking of taking that other 8 gig stick home and throwing it in there. But just like I've done previously, I'm gonna wait till Friday to do it, because I mean, we're gonna be busy. I'm gonna be busy with a lot of stuff this week. Of course, 2 more Downers Grove episodes tomorrow and Thursday, and then I guess taking it all the way, and then I guess that might be it. Unless there are like 1 or 2 more next week. And then, well, either case, those would be the last ones. Because my college semester begins on August 18th, which is a Monday. So that's in exactly 2 weeks from now. So yeah, 2 weeks, that's how long it is before my next college semester kicks off. And as far as I know, I've talked about the schedule. I've talked a lot about the schedule yesterday regarding it. And in fact, I mentioned that I'd be moving roadblocks that we usually do on Tuesday evenings to Sunday, fill that empty slot in. Now that we've made Plainfield TV 24/7 as of yesterday. I mean, that was quite amazing, that Minecraft show too that we did that night. That was pretty nice. And then on, what else did I say? I would wait on backyard baseball until I get back from my evening classes. Wednesday, the weeklies would just continue as normal until we get to October. So that will be that week that Windows 10 will lose support. So next week, I'll start getting everything prepared. So for instance, updating the remaining PCs with the extended updates. And as for the XPS, I'm gonna put it on the extended update program so I can keep it going for another year. And just like last year, I'll use the two PCs interchangeably. So one class I'll take the HP, the other I'll take the XPS. I could put 8 gigabytes of RAM into that, but I'm not gonna do that when it's gonna be retired in like a year or two. But I'm also furthermore happy to hear that the BNSF line has recovered after on Friday, while I was gone, a freight train derailed. Well, part of a freight train derailed in Aurora, the southern end of the line. And that is it right there, and that's how much time we have. Now I'm kind of thinking about just staying here on the platform and watch the express go by. I know there was a Type 2 here previously, but because I didn't make it to the crossing when it initially activated, I don't know if it's a Type 3 or not. So I've heard BNSF was replacing a lot of Type 1s on this line with it, which is too bad. Because when I was on the Northwest Railway Museum, if you didn't catch it, one of the crossings, in fact, it was actually the very last crossing before Snoqualmie Falls. That crossing had 2 General Signal Type 1 e-bells on it, while the other crossing had Type 2s, like Forest Avenue over there. But I did enjoy the Northwest Railway Museum. I enjoyed every second of it. I mean, seeing everything from old-fashioned railroading history, well, old railroad relics, to some local railroading history, and everything else in between. But yeah. So let's make these last three episodes count. So let's make these last 3 episodes count here. There goes Main Street, Forest, and this one will be next. So this is what's been making that banging sound, this thing. Yeah, that's what's been making that banging sound. You can see it's switching over to the center track. Yeah, it's switching over to the center track to, I suppose that thing's gonna express all the way now, or it's moving over for signal clearance. I suppose that dog doesn't know who I am. Ah, that's wonderful. Now, normally I would make my way to the school at this point, but I thought, you know what? Why don't we stick around for the next express train that comes through in just a few minutes? Because what is it now? 36. Yeah, let's see, 36 now. And it's usually not till like 45 that the express comes through here. But in terms of weather, it was actually quite pleasant when I was there. It was quite pleasant. In fact, the temperatures there remained in the 70s most of the time. Well, for highs, that is. But in fact, Wednesday was actually the hottest day, 85 degrees, in fact. And I don't think it was just Wednesday alone, but I think it was a whole bunch of other days too, where I also ended up seeing, let's see. I mean, there were so many people at Diablo Lake when we were at, what area was it? Mount Diablo Lake was when we did North Cascades. Let's see. There were a whole bunch of people kayaking, canoeing, which I'm pretty sure is what that lake might be known for. And I think there were like 2, 3, 4 other people who actually ended up going swimming in the lake. And 4 people actually did the same thing at Blue Lake too. In fact, I found out from one of the brochures I found at one of the gift shops that Blue Lake is actually one of Washington State's best natural swimming holes, in fact. Well, we didn't get to see an every day is a Sunday place when we didn't see an every day is a Sunday when we were, well, when I was in downtown Snoqualmie, that town that the Northwest Museum is housed in. So I didn't get to see that, well, didn't get to see that brand, but we actually did end up getting ice cream the day we were there. But this is actually pretty interesting, but we were there on a Saturday, which was August 2nd, and there was a sign on the front door that said about National Ice Cream Sandwich Day. And after the trip, my parents were curious if there were other days named after other foods. Yeah, after other foods. My father looked up, it was, there was a National Popcorn Day. It is sometime in January. And then, what else was there? Well, actually, let me tell you what they did for the ice cream sandwich day. For that day only, they gave customers the option to have their ice cream scrunched up between 2 chocolate chip cookies. But you know what? Why don't we watch the Express from Washington Street? Because the school's going to be just down the road anyway, so. Or do we do Main Street? Yeah, let's do the Express from a different crossing for a change. We've done too many Expresses at the Main Street crossing. Let's go to the other one and watch the Express go through there. instead. I think that'd be a better idea. But anyway, so yeah, we're nearly done with the season here. Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do Washington Street. I'm kind of undecisive at this point as to which crossing to go to, but it'll be worth it. But yeah, coming up to a cantileverless signal like that one, and on a busy rail line like this, it gives me some sort of like an homage to my good old days. When one of my relatives lived about a mile from this rail line, I would ride either a bike or a scooter, one of those two, and ride it all the way down from there to one of the corners of the Gilbert Avenue railroad crossing. And on our cloud, I still have a picture from 2015, I believe it was July of 2015, of watching the rush hour. I can't remember what day of the week that was, but just looking at that picture now, a lot of things have changed from then and there. Now I was thinking of something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, regarding last night. I didn't get to that, so let's do that before the express shows up. So nothing too much happened. Actually, in terms of Verizon's, it was just all monthlies. Got the Massachusetts one before I went to bed. And I checked all the loggers this morning, and interestingly, even though this is an even numbered month, Illinois did not do their monthly test, which I find kind of odd. I found out Orange County did it at like 1 p.m. Central yesterday, when they were supposed to do it at 7 a.m. I don't know, maybe some states are flipping day and night now, like what Missouri did briefly. I don't know if this is going to become a trend though. Well, I sure hope not. But regardless of that case, maybe Illinois will remember to do it at 10:15 this morning. And since this is the first Tuesday of the month, if I remember to, I'll try to get the monthly siren test from here, from Downers Grove, because in previous years, I've been flipping between Oak Lawn and my home. I've been flipping between those two areas respectively. So this is going to be something different for a change, and I thought this would be perfect as we finish off the season here. But yeah, you can just see the busy Main Street and everybody else. So yeah, we're gonna watch the express go by, and then we're gonna head off to the school, because I didn't get here to this spot fast enough, but I did get across the street in time, and the intro happened to finish at that time too. And yep, it must be, I don't know if they're going back to their pickup point. There's the express coming. It just came up. The light just came up. So this will be the last one we will see, and then we're gonna head off to the school to get started with my job here, but I'll continue the talking as we work our way there. I didn't get to go down on the main gate mechanism in time, so we're gonna try that again, and then we're gonna go up on the pedestrian gate. So let's see how this turns out. I want to be right near the crossing when it activates. There goes Main Street, there goes Forest, and now Washington. Damn, that mechanism is so high up. My arms. Woof, woof. Go all the dogs in the car. All right, let's make our way to the school now, because I'm sure there's somebody in particular waiting for me. Lots of moss or foliage creeping on the building. But as I do that, let me get you a good picture as to what I was experiencing during that time frame. So, like, let's say this is Gilbert Avenue and that's the crossing right there. Well, I mean, there weren't any, there were like very little telephone wires, but yeah, that was the kind of experience I had. The kind of experience I had when I was there. I mean, all those years ago. I mean, we would go there all the time. That was up until they moved to a new house, which is a bit further down the street. From where they used to be. I mean, that house was like cramped and they wanted more space, so that's probably why they moved. And from that point on, a lot of things have changed since then. Lots of things have changed with that family since then. But now that I think about it, I'm just so happy that I got to actually see a train go by in Dyer, Indiana. I was so happy I got to see a train go by there. And you all saw that moment when we streamed the Christmas Eve fireworks from the patio of that house, and I showed you the dogs and the 2 cats that they have. Are we gonna do Christmas Eve? Are we gonna do Christmas Eve there this year? Probably not. But then again, we'll see how things pan out. But yeah, even if that means arriving late, I guess it was all worth it. But maybe if I arrive there by the time the next inbound shows up, maybe I could get that, but we'll have to see we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, this is only the first of many times, so we have plenty of opportunities still. Actually, not that much now. But yeah, that 1.5 hour long break yesterday during our Minecraft show, that was all worth it. Because because I saw Ken Jennings and apparently a friend of Jimmy Kimmel, as my parents told me, they won the $1 million that night. And then there was another one that came on after that lost out on the $125,000 question and ended up winning $32,000 for their charity. And then, I mean, just look at Millionaire Now. It's kind of disappointing that the contestants aren't playing for themselves. They're all playing for charity. I was thinking maybe it should have been called Celebrity Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but I guess maybe that name was too long, or they used that name already. But regardless, it was a great show nonetheless. Along with Match Game, and since that was the only show that I had yet to see that night, well, actually there wasn't anything on that was all new, because yesterday was all reruns. So spent all that time making up those shows, and spent all that time making up those shows and everything else in between. Let's keep it right here because I think I hear the inbound coming. So let me get it ready. And I should get this thing ready too. Yeah, get this thing ready too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a great night tonight. Got the 1% Club. Got the 1% Club tonight. And then what else have we got? Well, yeah, we're gonna do our Roblox show. Right, once again, get to stay up till 11 p.m. Render the Tuesday video, go off to bed, get awoken by that flutter thing, which I was kind of literally in, and then catch up there, come back here, do it all again. Simple as that. But at least I did make good use of all the entertainment I had during every aspect of the trip, particularly with lunches. So what time is it right now? 53. Yeah, this is when the inbound should be showing up. Well, I see everybody's getting on the platform. Why does this thing think I'm driving? Yeah, that's what I kind of find annoying, but if it all goes well, these will actually be the last few weeks with my 10R. Because sometime then, we're going to be replacing it. I'm going to be replacing it with a new phone. And of course, you won't see that new phone in action in Downers Grove until next year. Which is kind of disappointing. But nonetheless. I can easily be confused by the sounds of the locomotives and the cars nearby. Everything. And here's the inbound now. All right, that's off to Chicago now. And that's where we're gonna wrap things up here for this morning. So thank you all for spending some time with me here this morning. And we will be back later this afternoon at 4 for our Roblox show. We'll see what kind of fun we can have with that. And of course, everything else we're gonna get done that night. I think that was just the inbound leaving. Yeah, it is. All right. So with that, we will see you again later tonight for our Roblox show. So until then, have a good Monday or Tuesday. What the hell am I saying? Hope you all have a good Tuesday, and we'll catch you all later.